Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Oh, okay. Good afternoon, Damilari. Good afternoon, Queen Oloye. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. Okay, so we'll give 2 minutes for others to join, and then we'll kick off from there. Thank you, guys, for joining. Oh, okay, so while we're waiting for others to join, you can share this link to your friends, family, and every person you know that's looking to study in the UK, so that they can, join us and, gather information and know more about UCA. So today we're talking about UCA. We're speaking UCA. We have someone join us from UCA. And if you don't know what UCA is, it's the University for the Creative Arts. So share the link, invite your friends, family to join us. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Debbie from Rennie Consulting Limited. I am representing the University for the Creative Arts today, and we are looking into why University for the Creative Arts is a unique destination to study in the UK, and we'll be having a representative from the University for the Creative Arts join us and speak to us about the school. Yes, so I'll just give a brief rundown or brief introduction of the University for the Creative Arts. So it's a school in the UK that has campuses in Canterbury, Farnham, Rochester, and one more, please. Don't worry, the school rep will explain further. Yeah, so and they have creative courses, and not only creative courses, they have business courses, they have architectural courses, they have fashion, graphics design, and so many others. So I know it's easy to so the name University for the Creative Arts, it's easy to confuse it and say, okay, so since it's just for the creative arts, why as someone that wants to study tech or someone that wants to study graphics, why go into or why apply to this school? So the University for the Creative Arts is known for diverse courses and not just creative arts. And even for business, they are ranked 7th in the UK at the moment. So yeah, it's not just for the creative arts. I remember a student that reached out one time and mentioned that he wanted a school in Canterbury. And when I told him about UCA, he was taken aback because in his mind he's like, why go to a school that offers just creative courses when I want a business course? And I was able to, speak to him and make him know that UCA isn't just about creativity, right? You can actually do some other things, do business and some other courses in UCA. So we have Bolade Ola Solomon, a rep from the University for the Creative Arts. She's on this live and will be joining us today. So I'll just have her join us now. Yes, I'll just have Bolade join us and speak to us extensively about what UCA entails and how we can benefit from the University for the Creative Arts. here in 3, 2, 1. Hi, Bolading.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Debbie, for having me here today to talk about University for the Creative Arts. And you were quite right. When you mentioned the campuses that we have, I think the only campus that you missed out on was the Epsom campus, which is where the big school is located. And majority of Nigerian students actually study there at the Epsom campus. So thank you, everyone, for joining this live session. And I will just, briefly talk about University for the Creative Arts and some of our rankings that we have. So I'd like to start off with saying that UCA is #1 in the UK for creativity. So in terms of creative institutions in the UK, UCA is actually #1 in the UK for that. And then also, according to the Guardian League of Table rankings, UCA is ranked second in the UK for creativity as well. And going by the Times University Guide ranking, UCA is ranked third place in the UK in terms of creative institutions as well. And then also, it's for the journalism courses, UCA is ranked #4 in terms of journalism. And Debbie was right because you mentioned that UCA is #7 in terms of business programs in the UK as of 2024. So yeah, that's what is to be mentioned about the ranking. And then one thing about UCA is that UCA is a warm and welcoming institution. We welcome students from diverse cultures, diverse nationalities, and we're happy to also accept students from different backgrounds. So I need to also mention that, for instance, we would accept students that have um, a third-class degree or have some good work experience to back it up. We would happily accept such students on our programs. And just as my colleague has rightly said, UCA is not just about creativity. It's a mix of business programs, creative programs, and then, of course, technology programs. So as it is now, the world is gradually evolving, and we have courses like graphics design, AI courses that also UCA has to offer. So we would welcome students on such programs as well. And I'm also looking to see if we've got any questions so that I can start addressing the questions that we have.
So if you have questions, please well to use the question and answer bar, and your questions will be attended to. But before they begin to ask their questions, so I'll just ask around, so yeah, what are the entry requirements for the University for the Creative Arts?
Thank you very much for that question. So I'd like to start off with saying that depending on the sort of program this person is going in for, I'd start off with the undergraduate program, which is generally what students start to look at. And for the undergraduates, we expect students to have a minimum of credits in their WAEC results or their IGCSE or whatever course they have taken, because like I said, we're non-discriminatory and we would accept students that, not even from aside from Nigeria, would accept students from African countries that have done the year 6 entry exams for their particular school, and so far they have a credit in their 5 core subjects. They're welcome to apply. And so that's for the undergrad. That's starting from the international foundation year. And then also for the year 1, we would accept students that have the A levels. And aside from the A levels, we'll accept students that have the national diploma, the ordinary national diploma, or the higher national diploma, depending on the student's qualification. But every qualification is looked at on a case-by-case basis. So we would review your application individually and then make decisions on a case-by-case basis. So yeah, and then also for the master's program, we would accept students that have a second class lower from any university. And this also applies to universities outside Nigeria. We would accept students who studied in a French-speaking country, for instance. Students that finish from a country like Benin Republic and the likes, we would accept them on our master's program. We just need to make sure that if their transcript is not in English, then it needs to be transcribed to English language, and then they're warmly welcome to apply. So we would accept students with those entry criteria. Now, another thing to also mention is the English language requirement. We expect students to have a credit in English language in their WAEC results. And I believe most of us will be familiar with the WAEC, which is the West African examination that students take at the secondary level in Nigeria. And so we expect students to have a credit in English language. But in cases where students don't have credit in English language, it's totally fine. What we would need from them is to take the IELTS test. So there's this test called the IELTS UKVI, which is the one we would accept. So we would accept students who can take the IELTS UKVI and then meet the criteria for the IELTS UKVI test. Yeah, I hope I was able to answer your question.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So if you're just joining us, we are discussing University for the Creative Arts. And if you have questions around UCA and you want your questions answered, we have Bolade Ola Solomon, is school representative, to provide answers to your questions. So we have one question already, and it says, is there any scholarship for international students?
Very good question. Thank you for asking, because yes, we do have scholarships for international students, and the scholarships will be based on the students' academic credentials, so to speak. So for a student who has a 2-1, you are warmly welcome to apply for the £3,000 scholarship, which is taken off your tuition fee. So ideally, tuition fee will be in the range of 15,000 to 18,000 pounds, depending on the program the student is going for. And once you have this scholarship, that brings your tuition fee down a lot. And in addition to this, we also have the 4,500 pounds discount scholarships that are available to students, again based on academic criteria. So students should have very good results, and then they're welcome to apply. All you have to do is reach out to Debbie or reach out to myself, and we will share with you the link for which the students can apply directly for the scholarship. Okay, but generally this scholarship is applicable after a student has the offer letter. So ideally, you should get your offer letter first, and then you apply for a scholarship afterwards. So there's
Okay.
scholarship worth 4-5, and then of course 3,000, depending on the student's academic result.
Okay, thank you so much, Bolade. So I'll just take you back a bit so we can because I've gotten like lots of questions around Benin Republic and then third class holders, and just to, I know you mentioned already, but just to touch on it again. So are there
Okay.
any do they undergo scrutiny? Unlike the Nigerian students that once you have your 2-1 or 2-2, you can apply, and we are sure that you'd have an offer. So for Benin Republic students, do they undergo any kind of scrutiny? Do they have to do anything else, anything extra to get an offer from UCA, and also third class holders?
Okay, thank you for your question. So ideally, like I said, applications are treated on a case-by-case basis. And whether you studied in Benin Republic or you studied in Nigeria, once you have your degree certificate and you have your academic transcripts, and your academic transcripts are in English language, because it would undergo more scrutiny if you submitted a French
Friends.
transcript, for instance, because we want to see the English translated copy for the transcript. So once you have your English translated copy, you're good to go. You don't need to submit more. In the instances where students need to submit more, and this is not just about in terms of whether you studied at Benin Republic or you studied in Nigeria, or if you studied, say, for instance, if you have a business background and you're going for a program in maybe graphics design, for instance, then you need to submit a portfolio. Or if you're going for a fashion program, you need to submit a portfolio. We need to see that you are creative and that you have, your body of work can speak for you, and we can see the originality and creativity in your work. So I think that's where scrutiny is brought into place, where you're submitting you're applying for a specialized course. Then you need to submit more documents like a portfolio. And the good thing about UCA is that we will guide you. We always have a portfolio guide, so we will send it to you. We'll assist you. We'll share tips with you to make sure that your portfolio is, it has what it takes to meet the standard for UCA. So because we're very supportive from beginning of the application up until you get your offer. As a matter of fact, up until you enroll at the university, actually. So yes, no special scrutiny with regards to Benin Republic. And now with regards to third class, for students who have a third class, I would advise you personally to apply really early in the year, because if you apply really early in the year, then you have a chance of getting a direct offer onto the MBA program, for instance. Okay, especially if you have good work experience. So, but the thing with our business school is that it gets filled on time. And so once it gets filled up on time, you may not get a chance on a direct offer for the MBA. What you would most likely get would be a pre-master's program, which is also integrated. What that means is that you have a conjoined class that takes you on pre-masters 6 weeks, 15 weeks, depending on your entry requirements and depending on your grades as an applicant. And then also dependent on the availability of spaces on the program as well. And then after the pre-masters, you go directly onto the master's program. Okay. So it's normally a conjoined class, so integrated class, meaning you don't have to come back to Nigeria. You just, start your program in the UK, and then when you're done with the pre-masters, you apply automatically for the masters, and then you continue with your program. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Bolade. And so, like Bolade just said, this is like one of the reasons why we emphasize on, getting your documents ready and putting in your application on time, especially if you have a third class degree. Yeah, a third class. Yeah. If you have a third class, it's very important that you put in your application on time.
Really?
So, I think we have questions in the. Yeah, so I'll just take, what English exams are accepted for postgraduate study?
Okay. So like I rightly said, once you have your English results in your WIAC, then you don't have to take any English test. Well, in a case where you don't have the requirement of a credit in WIAC English, for instance, or maybe you just didn't write the WIAC exams or something, then you need to show that you have an equivalent of WIAC credit in English, or you need to take the IELTS UKVI. So the IELTS UKVI test is the next test that will be taken if you don't meet the requirements for English language and WIAC.
All right. Okay. Right. So another question: can I apply with a D7 in English and take the English test later?
Yes, you can apply with a D7 in English, but you won't get an unconditional offer until you have taken the IELTS UKVI test and you have passed. So you need to meet the requirements.
I can get an offer, but
yeah, it will be a conditional offer. Conditional offer based on you meeting the English language requirements, and then that's all. So, but once you won't get an unconditional offer until you have taken the IELTS UKVI and then you.
So, is it compulsory? What if I don't want to do can I do TOEFL? Can I do PT, or does it have to be IELTS?
You could do TOEFL or PT, but because you have not met the visa requirement, so there's a CAS requirement that you need to have met. On a student's CAS, we would always assess the student's English language skills based on either the WIAC result or the IELTS UKVI. So that's why you need the IELTS UKVI if you don't have English WIAC.
All right. So another question.
Yeah.
When is the deadline for applications? If all of my documents are not available, can I still apply?
Yes, you can still apply. By all means, apply early. I would say deadline hasn't been fixed yet for September intake, but we're still welcoming applications up until June. But um, for the sake of getting your CAS on time, I always recommend that students apply early. So by all means, apply early.
Okay. Thank you, Boladi. And I yeah, like lots of questions, so I'll just take them one by one.
No
Is the first
worries.
£5 merit based, or so will I be eligible if I have a tutu?
You may be eligible for the £3,000 scholarship if you have a tutor. You may. It's not guaranteed. Again, it's a first come, first serve basis. So the earlier you apply, the higher your chances of getting it. But you would not be eligible for the 4-5. So if you do have a 2-1, then you're eligible for the 4-5
Yeah.
scholarship. I hope this helps.
All right. Thank you so much. So, if you're just joining us, we are still on UCA, that's the University for the Creative Arts, and why it's a unique destination to study in the UK. And we have Bolade Ola Solomon, a representative of the school, speaking to us on things we need to know about the school basically. So there are lots and lots of questions, but before I check the question and answer bar, I'll just ask, so about interviews. I hear a lot students, myself, if I were a student, to be honest, I'll run away from the interviews. But we've had we've had students ask, how these interviews, how are they conducted? Are they like very tough to pass? So what happens if I fail the interview? Do I get the chance to, take another, or how do I prepare for the interview, basically?
Okay, very good question. And like I said initially, one thing with UCA is that we're here to support you from the get-go of your application. So from the start of your application up until you enroll at the university, you'll be fully supported. And what that means is that even when you get your unconditional offer, I personally would share with students interview tips.
Okay.
And aside from interview tips to help you pass the interview, I also am available to have mock sessions with
Mm,
students. So you can have repeated mock sessions with me because, everybody's approach to interviews differ. So some students find it easy to go for it and pass. And then some students don't even, they feel jittery, they're nervous, they're not ready to face the panel. So they need more preparation. And I'm available to help them prepare and just to coach them and put them through on the interviews. So far so good. We've had students who passed the interview. Majority of our students pass the interview because those that are not prepared would definitely want a mock session with me.
yeah.
And on the mock session, I would, give you tips and help you to prepare, and that would help students to pass. But in the case where students still fail, what we can do is sometimes I appeal for a second chance, especially when I see that student is a genuine student
Mm.
and really eager to study at the university. Then obviously we can give a second chance in that sort of scenario.
All right.
Yeah,
Thank you very much. So you can see that the UCA isn't just a university, but one that cares about its students, and that's really beautiful.
absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
yeah,
We care.
so someone is asking, what is a CAS? I'll answer that question.
Oh, okay.
I would,
Yeah,
but
please.
I'll leave it to you since you have, you know, um, more information.
Mm-hmm.
What CAS?
Okay, so the CAS is the confirmation of acceptance document. And you know how, so I'm just going to explain in a very layman language. Say, for instance, you want to travel out of Nigeria, you would need an international passport, right? And in addition to the international passport, you would need to have a visa on the international passport. Now, if you're going to go to the UK, but if you're going to go to the UK for studies, specifically for an international program, then you would need a confirmation of acceptance from the university, which is a document explaining that you have been given the right of sponsorship, like the school is offering to sponsor you on a tier on a student visa, okay, to the UK. So that's the CAS. The CAS is the documents that you need to get from the school to make sure that you're able to enroll on the program. Okay,
Right.
I hope I've been able to answer it in as basically as possible.
I hope whoever asks the question gets it, but
Yeah.
that was quite explanatory. So
Mhm.
another question: what's the minimum gap year accepted for postgraduate programs in UCA?
Fantastic question and very relevant question to ask. Because one thing with UCA is that we want to see students that we are sure can cope with
Okay.
academic rigors of studying in the university. So we want to see students that have not, been too far off studying. So ideally, the student gap should be like 10 years maximum.
Okay.
We don't want to see students that have studied maybe 15 years ago, because we're not sure that you might be able to fit in to academic life again. So we want students that are still fresh from university and are able to fit into the university environment easily.
Mm. So 10 years. What happens
Yes,
if it's slightly above 10? Let's say 11. Do I still get a chance?
I can't guarantee, but what I can do is to speak to admissions,
Okay.
just plead your case and to say, oh, this student is, the student study gap is 11 years, but in that 11 years, the student has had, say,
Yeah.
for instance, professional qualifications. They've not just fine, they've been out of school, but they've actually had some short courses, and so they're well equipped to continue in postgraduate studies again.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So I'll be taking it back to the IELTS.
Yes, please, by all means.
And actually two, which means it's fine.
Okay.
So must it be UKVI IELTS? Can I take the academic IELTS instead?
You could take the academic IELTS, but like I said, for the purpose of your class, which is documents that you need to submit to the UKVI for like sort of like your license to study in University for the Creative Arts on a master's program, you need to take the IELTS UKVI because they need to assess your English language level. And the IELTS UKVI is what can assess your English language level. Aside the IELTS UKVI, then it has to be your WAEC result for
Yeah.
undergrad.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. So if you're just joining us, this is Rennie Consulting Limited, and we're hosting a live with Bolade Ola Solomon. My name is Debbie, and she's the representative of the University for the Creative Arts. Yes, and she's just giving us a rundown of what UCA entails, basically how you can get an offer into the school, how you can settle in. Speaking about settling,
Yeah.
so for I get an offer, I am in the UK. How do
Mm-hmm.
I? Where do I come in from? How do I, know my campus? My campus. Who do I? Are there students there to assist me
Yeah.
get settled, or I'm just on my own?
So no one is ever on their own, especially when you're studying at an inclusive community such as University for the Creative Arts, a really inclusive community. So, like I said, from beginning of your application, you're going to be invited to so many webinars.
Mhm.
While still in Nigeria, you're going to be attending webinars. You're going to be getting invitations to webinars to just speak to international students. Sometimes we have international students come on board the webinars and then just talk to students and allay their fears, just address their questions. And there's this thing when you're speaking with a direct student from the school, you feel like, oh, okay, this is someone who's studying there and they can answer your questions, literally. So already you're already feeling welcome before you even arrive. Now, another thing is, all through your visa application process, we will guide you. We will look through all your documents, make sure that everything is intact, and there are no cases of visa refusals. We've not had a single case of visa refusal in the past 2 years, so that's a good thing already for students. And then we have open days. Before students even enroll in school, they can actually visit the campus and then attend the open days. Now, for students that are still in Nigeria, obviously, they can attend it virtually. So we have virtual open days where students can talk to other students in school, and then also meet with faculty heads online, and have that rapport and relationship even before enrolling on campus. And then also, as soon as you enroll in the university, you'll be given welcome packs. You'll be able to enroll online. You would have started, you've seen your timetable, you've seen all of that from your dedicated portal for each student. So every student has their own access to their portal, and then they're able to, get hit the ground running literally when they come to UCA. And then one thing about UCA is that we also offer airport pickup for early
Oh,
students.
oh,
Yes.
any
So if you're early, yes, if you're early,
oh early.
so school, yes, if you're early, so if school starts 19th September, for instance, we would always give free airport pickups on the 18th
Oh,
to students who, are enrolling early. So if you started your process early in advance and you already know what it entails and you've been following up, then you would even get invitations for all of this. So the students would get it directly in their mail, and then they'll be able to access the free airport pickup to their hostels or to their destinations, provided it is within the university campus or very close to the university campus. So that's one good thing with UCA. And then up until you graduate, there's this thing we do. We have the career services. So one thing about UCA is that we will help you with regards to getting you a job. We would offer you what is called the career workshops. So these career workshops, the good thing about UCA is that once you're a student of University for the Creative Arts, you have access to the career workshops for life. So you graduate,
that's
yes.
huge.
So you graduate like you've graduated 5 years back, and you just have a glitch in your career and you need help, and some sort of advice, or some sort of mentorship or help. You can always reach out to the career services, and they'll be happy to help you.
Wow.
So those are the perks with studying at University for the Creative Arts. We're not just number one in the UK for nothing.
That's beautiful, but that's really, really
Yeah,
wow.
yeah,
Wow. A school that really cares. That's really
yeah.
good. Oh. So I wish we could, have this conversation and just keep going on and on and on and on.
I know.
At this point, we'd have to, call it a day because we do not have questions any longer. We'd have to call it a
Okay.
It's always really beautiful talking to you, Bolade, right? It's
Me
always really
too.
conversation was insightful. And I always, always have something to go home with, something to, refresh my mind about the
Yeah,
university. And it's beautiful to know that UCA isn't just any school, but one that cares. Like for life, you have access to it. That's huge. That's
yeah,
huge.
yes.
If you're on this life, you know that you're catered for life. Like who doesn't want to be right? That's beautiful.
Really, like you're going to get the best. And
Yeah.
then even while studying, you have access to real life. So for instance, if you're studying a business program now,
Okay.
you're going to be having access to projects, real life business projects where you can actually because that's part of your work, your assignments,
Oh,
really, it's going to be part of your assignments to tackle a real life business project. And so it's a very interesting campus for students, because you're having the best of both worlds. You're having the best of academics, and then you're also having the best of real life situations outside academics. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
You're
So
welcome. Thank you
want
for
to know,
having me.
yeah, thank you. If you want to know more about UCA, you can go on their website or contact me. My name is Debbie, and you can always reach me via our Instagram page. That's Rennie Consulting Limited. Thank you so much for your time, Bolade, and joining us here. I look
Thank
forward to having
you.
you. Always look forward. Thank you so much. Do you want
Yeah,
to get
I'm sure we'll have
front?
more repeat sessions of this and, get more
All right. Sure.
students on board.
Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. Enjoy the rest of your
You
day.
too. You too. Bye, guys.